From the top shelf of the Adventurers Night Club, we bring you Beverage et Toi. If your desk or coffee table is always occupied by the three most desirable beverages, one for energy, one for hydration, and one just for fun, then you're just the kind of three-drink fiend Buka made this coaster for.
Thanks, Buka.
It lusciously rotates so you can salaciously see which drink is on which coaster for easy access to the beverage you desire. Drop in to Second Wind's DFTBA store and treat yourself. It comes in a 4-pack so you can share one, because we know you've got a friend you want to share more than a coaster with. Now live! Hey everybody! Welcome to RPG Help Desk, both on Twitch and YouTube, because why not? I'm Jesse Galena. I host this because that's what I do. And I'm here with Mike Holik. You have to tell me how to pronounce your last name, because I'm assuming that's correct. But I don't actually. Oh my gosh, awesome. That might be the first name I've gotten correct the first time. With Mike Holik from Mage Hand Press. Hello.
Yeah. Hi. So I'm the editor-in-chief of Mage Hand Press, which means I run the company and I make books like this book, and I've got other ones that I can't hold because I only have so many hands. These are all 5th edition books for D&D 5th edition, and we like to start with that as our foundation and build cool stuff on top of it. Today we're going to be talking about Sci-Fi because our most recent book, Dark Matter, takes 5e and makes it sci-fi. So think Spelljammer or Starfinder or something like that. And we have a Kickstarter for that right now, but we'll talk more about that later.
You sure do. I'll throw a link in the chat, so if people are interested, they are welcome to go. Yeah, I'm very curious because I love sci-fi. Also, chat, if you have any questions, I will say this off top of the show. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. We will answer them because we love answering questions, especially if they're sci-fi related. But honestly, I'm ADD. If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it.
Yeah, so I've been designing D&D stuff for 10 years. If you just have like generic D&D questions, ask me. I'm happy to talk about anything.
I want to know, before hopefully other people have questions too, like what specifically about sci-fi made you really interested in writing a tabletop RPG in it? Because like you made a whole book. That is a process. There's extra rules. There's all sorts of stuff you got to do.
So we made this book. We made a version of this book. Like 2015, 2016. And then we've recently updated it to the 2024 D&D rules. So I've spent a lot of time playing around with this particular soup of RPG stuff. I think that it is a totally new palette of storytelling devices that you're allowed to play with. I think it is transformative. There are just things you can do in a sci-fi setting that you can't do when you are just doing fantasy. It's completely different. You can do shootouts, you can do heists, you can do back alley deals with bombs. There are just all sorts of things that you can do in a sci-fi game that you just can't translate to fantasy in any meaningful way. So if you're feeling like, I think when you play D&D for long enough, you start feeling this like tension of like, I've kind of gone through all the plots that I can do. I've kind of gone through, all the character types that I feel like I really want to play, and then you move on to something else. Well, like this is a good way to like stick around with those rules that everyone at your table knows and find like completely new ways of playing the game.
That's cool. So like what's one that you personally as like maybe an anecdote of like, oh, this I want to do, because I think about like in sci-fi stuff, especially in like science fantasy style where you also still have magic. Where in like hard sci-fi like Star Trek, it's like, all right, well, you probably don't have magic. You just have weird tech that's super advanced, so you don't understand it. But like science fantasy and like a lot of stuff where you can have, oh, there's magic, but like tech is its own thing. You don't get,
So
damage reduction to tech.
this actually is
Yeah.
sci-fantasy. That's actually our take on it. So I really love Eberron. And Eberron's conceit is like we're doing this pulp fantasy thing where kind of we're in an industrial age, but we're really just advancing magic to the point that it can become industrialized. This is the same thing taken all the way to a sci-fi extreme. So you're all of the ships and blasters and whatever are still fundamentally powered by magic, and that's because we didn't want to throw away the core of what Fifth Edition is, because
Mm-hmm.
almost all of the classes use magic in some way, shape, or form. All of the magic items are like a huge part of the game. So if you throw out all of that, you're not playing D&D anymore. You're playing something else with kind of D&D skin, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is
A
tech
good
and magic
yeah.
like separate things, or is it like all tech is based on magic?
It's all one milieu. Yeah, a
Okay.
blaster is an advanced type of wand. A ship is using kind of levitate spells, right?
Got it.
That's to some extent, right? It still has. We wanted to lean hard into that. Like, it's still a very sci-fi aesthetic. Like, this should look sci-fi, right? If you pick up Spelljammer, it's not going to look like that, right? They have giant sailing ships and that sort of stuff. But that's not necessarily the approach that we wanted to take with this. So it's very much a sci-fi aesthetic with a sci-fi, like it's foundationally sci-fantasy. But you were asking specifically if I have an example of like how we've built that out and like done interesting plots with that. Oh man, there's so many good examples. The reason I can pull up so many is because as a part of this Kickstarter, we're doing 3 hardcover books in one huge slipcase, and 2 of those are campaigns. And one of them, and they're all focusing on, every time I do a little adventure in one of those, I really want to hit a completely different new genre that you've never seen in an RPG before. So
Okay.
the first one in Grax's Club is a Willy Wonka inspired tour of a soda factory, and
Yes.
it's a blast, and you're having to try to protect the kids as they sort of get picked off one by one. And there's a secret industrial espionage thing happening where somebody's trying to steal the secret soda recipe. That's something that you just can't do in a fantasy setting in a way that like makes sense to people, right? You kind of can. It's just not going to make sense.
I love a
Yeah.
Willy Wonka inspired freaking run into campaign. That's so fun.
There's space kobolds who are like shooting sugar asteroids out of the sky to like mine them for their sugar. It's so, it's so fun. They're so fun. So that's the sort of like wacky nonsense that you can get into if you want to take the sci-fi in one direction, or you can do like neo-noir mystery thrillers. Like that's the second one in the adventure. So like we're trying to give you whiplash as you go through. And like sci-fi is just such a huge genre, and so is fantasy, right? Like we start breaking down fantasy into like grimdark and high fantasy and low fantasy, and kind of whatever you want to do with it. Sci-fi is the same way. I just don't think we have the same lexicon of subgenres for sci-fi. So I think that's an interesting issue with the way that we talk about it, probably. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We can't completely go off. This is like the third, before we even started, we now have like 3 different topics of like, you should come back on and talk about this. Lexicons in genre is actually I think, an incredibly important topic, specifically in RPGs, because it is a thing of like session 0 and even before of what are the expectations of what we are going to be doing.
And I think most RPGs, and this is something that I think I've sort of built my career on, is finding stuff, to steal a term from YouTuber Noah Caldwell Gervais, things have to be legible to the imagination.
That's a
and
good
that
term.
legibility, yeah, that doesn't mean it has to be realistic. It doesn't mean it has to be it's plausible, but plausible in a way that rhymes with the genre that you're doing and the storytelling conventions you want to reference. So all of role-playing games are in some way perched atop a precarious pile of tropes and genres. So that's why we're able to do dark matter as a sci-fi thing, because you have had sci-fi genres drilled into your brain since you were very young, even if you're not familiar with them, right? That's why Marvel was able to make Guardians of the Galaxy make intuitive sense to you without having to explain what a starship is from the get-go. So you have all these things floating around in the milieu, and being able to reference those is a fundamental part about what you're allowed to put into a role-playing game and how you're allowed to play with it. All role-playing games, and really all games in general, are really just you playing with someone else's toys and finding ways to make them your own. Most media is like that, but role-playing games, I think, you need that shared commonality, or it's going to be hard to get across at the table. And
Yes.
I think that's why those commonalities, those lexicon points, are really really important. Yeah,
Totally agree. Oh man, again, different topic. Gotta another time. We can't go fully off the rails there. But oh my gosh, I agree. It's so important. It's so helpful. And like everything from making a character, here we are off topic. Everything from like making your character, like just the baseline of what you want is very important. Of like, oh, I want to make a silly character, or like, oh yeah, I want to just, if you were make a knight that juggles scimitars, not centaurs, that would be even more impressive, but uh scimitars, and like work that in as your attack, where it's like, oh yeah, every third one you got to throw it, like drop it on people, or like do an attack, still have up the,
yeah,
it's like, oh, it's a fun performance. It's like, oh, I can play with these ideas, but that's not going to work in like a, no, this is my Lord of the Rings game. Like, that's all right. We can't do this. So
100%.
yeah, so important. Uh, very important questions from chat.
Yeah.
Starting with TikTok or Talk Walk Talk. Asked specifically about dark matter, is so it's a D&D sci-fi setting, which I feel like the short answer could be yes, but that ultimately no, because here's some fundamental differences in why y'all made it and like it.
I still think about it being sci-fi, but that sci-fantasy element is like, it is really important to making sure that it like works and like is fun for everyone at the table. And like, so if I crack open this book, I can go to like right there. Like there's like 30-ish pages.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're into like, that's all the lore. So it's a very, very light setting, and the rest of this is a toolkit so that you can grab bits and pieces. Do you want just the blasters? Do you want just the ships? Do you want just the new spells or new feats? It really is acting more like a player's handbook or something similar. So for many years, I was actually really cautious about calling it a setting, because it's like, most people who pick up a setting book, they're like, it's going to be 200 pages of lore telling me about how your dwarves work. And we wanted to get, like, sci-fi is such a big genre. I think it's more important for me to give you those tools and to give you kind of some vague pointers about how we're going to do it for ours. But have fun, pick and choose what you want. So it's a sci-fi setting, and it's mostly like a toolkit or a player's handbook for you. And it's got like 100 pages of monsters, right? Out of 400. This is a 445 page book right now. I'm very pleased with it. It's a good pack.
Awesome. Talk. Let us know if that answers your question. And if not, I guess we'll try again. But I'm really curious because of the stuff you put in there. I'm one of those people that just I lean towards comedy usually, so I like silly and dumb things that I can do in RPGs, and I also like when things allow me to do that, like mechanically, where I'm not just like, I do this thematically silly, but like mechanically I'm just rolling to attack or whatever. What are some of the things you really like in dark matter, like for people to do, that's interesting, or specifically for me, very dumb, and I can be excited about it?
100%. One thing I've always struggled with the book is the cover, because it makes it look much more grimdark than it is. I believe that your D&D game should have a lot of comedy. You are hanging out with friends on your one day off the week, and you are probably having drinks. Make your stuff fun, right? Let's see. There's a cantrip called Finger Guns, that lets you go pew pew.
No.
Yes, it's great.
Greatest cantrip.
And there is a stat block for your kind of like space commoner as a red shirt. Oh man, I'd have to really flip through here and find all the insane nonsense.
I love that Finger Guns as a cantrip. As a chronic finger gun user, I am so happy when
It
it
is
can
so,
jump
so fun.
mediums into something else.
We've got Guardians of the Galaxy references in here. We've got Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy references. Let me show you what the orc ships look like because I just flipped by that page. They have cool 6 space hot rods. Hopefully
Ooh.
that looks good. Yeah, it'll come in focus eventually. There we go. Yeah, so that's hard. That's a tough prompt when I've got so much book to go through and like so many things I could talk about.
How dare you have
Uh,
so
I,
much book to go through?
it's hard when you wrote the whole thing to like with writing partners, of course, but like it's hard to like pick out individual things with such a broad prompt of like what are the
Mm-hmm.
fun things? What are going to make me laugh? Well, I don't know. There's probably a lot. Um,
Peter Parker SL. Thanks for giving $5 over on YouTube. And ask the question for Dark Matter: do you still use the standard D&D classes, or did you add sci-fi flavor to them?
What a phenomenal question. So we add one new base class. Okay, so most people out there, if you're familiar with Mage Hand Press, you might know us from this book, which is called Vault of Spire Secrets. It sits on top of normal D&D and adds 10 new base classes
Ooh.
to the game. Fully fleshed out with a bunch of subclasses. In this book, there's over 150 subclasses. Okay? So Dark Matter uses the core classes. It
Okay.
gives you subclasses, new sci-fi subclasses for them, and subclasses for Vault of Spire of Secrets. And all of those are available for free online. So if you're flipping through there and then you go, Space Cowboy, I want to be a Space Cowboy. That sounds rad as fuck. Well, that's for the Gunslinger class. And you can find that for free. And then now you're playing a gunslinger. And it also includes one new base class, which is the Gadgeteer, which is just very, very cool. You get an AI friend, and you get a bunch of gadgets, which are weapons, and you can have power armor. It's a lot. So yes, the answer is standard D&D classes and sci-fi flavor and our own classes, and there's even one in the book.
Awesome. Cool. I did not know actually if it would have the base classes or if they were all their own. So that's cool too. That you
Yeah, I think there's 45 or so subclasses in Dark Matter. So and
nice.
also anything in core D&D is still valid. If you want to play a robe and wizard hat like Gandalf ass wizard on a starship fighting with an android, like go for it. The setting is designed to facilitate that specific nonsense.
Nice.
Yeah, we want to provide those like launching points, but like tons of people just use like whatever's in Tasha's or the player's handbook and like build their characters around that. And then maybe you spice it up with feats or spells or whatever you want to make it like sci-fi specific, or maybe you play like a very traditional character.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of those are super valid and super fun.
Awesome. Uh, Peter, if that answers your question, let us know. If not, we'll try again. But I'm pretty sure that does. But hey, always want to check. Marith D with a very important question, which is, what is your favorite donut?
Oh gosh,
Which I feel like is a harder question than it should be.
that's way harder.
Yeah.
Okay, can you answer this?
The cheat answer is my favorite donut is a dozen, and then I get 12 options. But I know I can hear Casey booing me right now from somewhere in
I like
Jersey.
I like a good cakey Dunkin' donut, Krispy Kreme stuff,
Yes.
too ephemeral, too sweet.
Yes. I love cake donuts. I love like the actual answer is probably an old fashioned because
Yeah,
those
100%.
are dense. Like you could hit somebody with that, and I want that in a dessert. Like I want I want it to double as a possible weapon. So yeah, like a good old fashioned is probably my favorite. Jelly filled is great. I love a chocolate frosting, but I do love them cakey. I don't want cotton candy donuts, like where if you eat cotton candy and like it just kind of dissolves in your mouth. Like that's how I feel about Krispy Kreme, where it's
Hmm.
mostly air. And if that's what you like, awesome. But like I'll get that from seltzer water. I don't want it from my donut.
Right, right.
So those are my two answers.
Why is it that Twitch chat defaults to food talk so quickly? Is everyone on Twitch hungry? Do you guys Christina food
We
delivery.
do. Well, food talk happens a lot, I think, because there's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is on while I'm making dinner," or like it's getting to dinner
Uh,
time. I feel like yeah, we're all somewhere in there.
that
Also,
makes a lot of
I
sense.
love food, so I'm never against it devolving into food talk.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite donut?
Oh, like a cakey. If I had like a blueberry, would be lovely. I think I had one of those
Oh,
the other day.
oh
Mm,
no! Don't bring up blueberry. Okay, so like a blueberry old fashioned, but now that might be taking it because those are so good.
yeah.
Dang. All right. Thanks, Meredith D, for the question. Uh, I'm sure that answered it, but if not, just let us know anyway. Is Squirtle Squad 420? Hi. Uh, as a really good question, this is more generic for RPGs, but I think it's a really good question. Is how do you run stores? How do you describe a store to your player without having to describe what is on every shelf in every aisle? That is a great question.
I'm actually interested to hear how you do this because my answer is not going to be very satisfying for anybody.
Oh no. Now I'm extra curious what your unsatisfying answer is. Uh, I think really there's multiple things. So one is that you could describe it based on vibes. Like you go in and it's like, is it run down? Does it seem sketchy? Like everything, like there's security tags on half of the items for completely different stores. Um, oh, there's a layer of dust on everything. Like, is this a front? Like, there's nothing, no one's shopped here for a long time. Why? So things like that where you could describe kind of the feel of it. Like, does the temperature change as well? Like, oh, okay, that's a fun thing that you could do with, oh, it's run by a folk that's cold-blooded. And when you walk in, it's like much hotter in there. And then, run by a lizard folk or something. And so, yeah, like things that you could do to just kind of spice up more than just, yeah, you walk into a store and it's just a thing. How they set it up. I mean, I think, especially as an American, it's very easy to be like, all shops look like this because we are used to regulation grocery
We have
stores.
one shot. Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Like, we have three major grocery chains that, like, 90% of the stores that we go to are a part of, and they all have a very systematic way of doing things. Versus in a world of independent merchants. Pretty cool, by the way. Wouldn't that be neat if that happened more?
Yeah.
Where like, how do they set it up? What is important to them that they put at the forefront of the store? What's behind the counter as something valuable versus in front of the counter?
So I want to tell you about the game that I'm running right now. So we're playtesting a criminal dark matter campaign called Contractor Core,
Ooh.
in which you guys work for a criminal syndicate known as the Firm, and your home base between missions is this kind of space tavern that's under like heavy metal new management called Yokai Flux. And in the back rooms, they rent them out to kind of whoever wants to do some business off the books. And there is a
Mm.
vendor back there who has a list of magic items that they will sell you, but they're a fence. These are one-time bought, and if you don't buy them right now, they won't be here next time.
Oh, I
Right? Like
love
these items
that.
change out every time. So we've got literally like a Fortnite FOMO thing going on every adventure. So
Yes.
I really love, and the other one in Grax's Club, the one that starts off with the Willy Wonka send up, there is a gachapon machine. It's a soda machine, and you enter your credits, and it's like way too many credits, and you hit the fourth option, and a little capsule comes out, and you open it up, and it's got a magic item in it. So you have random tables of magic items, and you're filling them into the machine, and like gachaponing your magic item kit, and then like trading them with other party members and stuff. So I like having a unique like approach to magic items and how you get them, and but my answer for everything else is hey everybody, here's a big table with all of the items in the book. Dig through it, have fun. I'll check back in a minute. I'll get a beer or some pizza and come back. And I actually put an entire appendix in the back of the book that details right at the very back. Here's every item in the book, every magic item in the book. I put a price on everything, so you can just do that and then like keep everything moving. And I like having printed sheets of that, so I can just chuck it across the table and keep the story moving while one person is shopping. Shopping can be a lot of dead air, and some people really love retail role play.
Yeah.
Anybody who's worked in retail does not want to do retail role play. So, yeah, I try to keep that moving. But I keep my sessions like an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours. Like we're in and out, man. So we have very, very quick sessions. I do not spend a lot of time on that. So it's kind of it's a quick turnaround.
See, I'm really glad that that was your answer. Like, I think that's cool because we are the opposite sides of the DM spectrum of how to run a shop. Because you have all the items set up in a thing, you know what the shop has. I am like, let me make a fun encounter for my players. What does the shop have? What are you looking for? I'll probably say yes. Like, very much.
Definitely they got that.
Yeah, it's in the bag. We got a whole shipment of them.
Yeah.
Like the where our focus is, I think is important because that's very much, how different DMs operate.
This actually leads into a bigger thing when we're talking about sci-fi versus fantasy. When I run my games, especially in sci-fi, they're hyper episodic. They're very fast. And part of this is because you get in your ship and you are going from place A to place B. I don't need to give you downtime or travel activities. Like, you have instantly blipped into the orbit of a cool new adventure. And like, we don't have to have any downtime. I can keep these things as hot as possible. And that's a really big pace change from the way that a normal fantasy ass D&D adventure works, because you got to walk everywhere, or at fastest ride a cart. Like, it's not, and maybe you get some fun travel encounters out of that, but they're designed with a lot of downtime and a lot of physical space, and you can condense that to almost nothing. You can communicate, long distances in very short periods of time. Like, sci-fi games can be that more episodic thing. So that's why I have that, like, much more like, I'm very focused on pace and keeping everyone at the table engaged, because it's a different type of thing. I think it also speaks to where the sci-fi inspirations come from, right? Like, I grew up with a lot of Stargate, and I don't think I have an episodic fantasy thing that has as big of a place in my imagination, right? Until you start getting into something like Game of Thrones, which is much more like serialized.
Yeah. That level of like character driven, serious, grounded kind of, yeah.
And it's over a whole season that the arc is happening, whereas I tend to think about my games as episodes. Like, and I'll let that slip into my vocabulary a little too much when we're playing at the table. Like, in today's episode, we're doing this.
See, I actually really like that as a narrative device. I played, a friend of mine ran a Brindlewood Bay 2-shot, and very much plays into that. I don't know if you're familiar with Brindlewood Bay.
I'm not. Tell me about it.
It is a game that is built on, you are a bunch of elderly ladies in a book club who solve murders around the small New England town that you're a part of. But there is also weird extra dimensional things happening that you're not fully aware of, but like absolutely some sort of Cthulhian nonsense happening.
Yeah.
And like they would open with like, we pan into this scene of, and like between the two sessions ran the recap and the introduction as a new character as a producer, being like, all right, so we got the results back from the pilot, and here's what audiences are really, really gravitating towards, and we think we'll introduce these and it's like all based on things that we had said at Decompression the time before, of like what we were really enjoying. It was very fun. So I actually really love leaning into that style.
Oh man, it's taking every fiber in my being to not go off in an extremely long tangent about a different role-playing game that I made that uses that sort of thing as an entire foundational thing. That's a great, meta devices are really useful for helping people understand and participate with the game. I guess is how I'll summarize that.
Yeah,
without getting too far off track.
That's a good way to put it, because most of us are familiar with episodic television, and like that structure makes sense. It also helps with like, okay, yes, this might be a bad decision, but you also understand you want to solve the mystery, and you have to put yourself in a scenario that might not be optimal. Like, yes, we had to break into the police station to go through the evidence that they had confiscated so we could find the thing we were looking for. Was that a bad idea? Yes. Did it work out? Also, yes.
Okay, you have somebody, Miss Harmony in YouTube, who said, "Now I have to know how good was SGU, Mike." So that's Stargate Universe. Um, oh my God, it was so good, but I should have gone on forever. I need to talk about a thing that we're doing in the dark matter. How
Oh,
many of you
okay.
are familiar with Humblewood?
That is little
It's a
animals.
Yes, it's a kind of very adorable storybook setting by Hit Point Press in which you play bird folk or humble folk in this cute wood called Humblewood, and there's a big tree city called Alderheart, and one of the stretch goals we just unlocked in Dark Matter in our Kickstarter that's live right now is Humble Dark. So in Humble Dark, we take that tree city and we launch it straight into space. And now you are little animals in a vast, scary universe trying to figure out how to fly your city, which you didn't know was a tree ship, through space, because there are tree ships in dark matter. It's a whole thing. And trying to figure out how to find your way back home. So very much Voyager and very much Stargate universe, except you are cute, adorable animals in a scary sci-fi universe.
That's pretty
I
cool.
am so thrilled they're letting me do that. I edited a bunch of Humblewood stuff back in the day. I've been very close with Hit Point Press, and I'm so glad I get to. So yeah. Not only do I think Stargate Universe is fucking incredible, but also I built a whole crossover setting with big inspirations from it that is coming out very soon. So if you guys are a fan of Humblewood, go back Dark Matter and you'll get that thing for free.
Ooh, nice. All right, I'm glad because I was like, I saw that come up and I hadn't brought it up yet because I was like, what is SGU? I'm gonna have to ask because I don't know
Oh,
what
that
it
was
is.
micro targeted straight at me.
Wait, so what
Uh,
is SGU an RPG for Stargate or?
no, it's so there was a it was a man Stargate SG-1 went on for a long time. It was like 15 years or something,
Yeah.
and they did a couple of spin-off series, one of which was Stargate Atlantis, and then they end up on this, it's just Stargate but with a different flavor and cast of characters. And then Stargate Universe, they went like they were like, oh, Battlestar Galactica is doing really well, let's ape their whole flavor. And it was sick. They teleport onto a ship, you Stargate onto a ship that is like an ancient flying ship on the other side of the galaxy, and they have no idea how to like steer it, and they're all literally starving, and like the life support's down. And the first couple episodes are like very, very magnetic.
Hmm.
It's very, very fun, and it didn't make it more than I think a season, and it was fucking great. And yeah, I understand why it didn't hit its target demographic. Like the rest of those shows are like, very like popcorn, monster of the week kind of sci-fi stuff. And that was like
Yeah.
very serialized, very tense. Yeah. Hey, Jay Mortimer is the longtime Mage Hand Press collaborator and friend who
Hey.
originally ran Dark Matter as his home game, and then we ended up spinning it off into this whole book and franchise and stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's
Uh,
awesome. Well, hi, Mortimer. Thank you for the dono. And now, yes, you did get mentioned.
Amazing.
uh, over on whoop, it was over on Twitch. I saw it. Keeper Day saying Golden Girls meets Columbo plus Cthulhu for for Brindlewood Bay. Yes, exactly. That is an incredibly accurate description. And as you were talking about SGU, Marathi also said SGU's was Stargate plus Battlestar Galactica. Like as you were saying that popped up in chat. We're on the same wavelength.
Love that.
Bismarck with another $2 on YouTube says, happy the stream is on YouTube now. Yes, me too. Very happy. Also, the thing at the beginning has the new logo. And by new, I mean first, because it didn't really have a logo before that Java did. And it's awesome. He did such a good job. And Peter Parker SL with another 10 says, thank you for answering my question. Just had an idea for a potential character, a mecha druid that quote wild shapes into different mechs and has robot familiars.
Yeah.
Also new to
So
D&D and want to learn more.
this druid right here.
That exact thing.
So yeah, 100%.
Wow.
Circle of configuration. You get to change your shape. We've got you.
Good news, Peter Parker. You want to know more, and that's a class and subclass that Dark Matter has.
Yep. Are you in the book?
Dang, that's awesome because I love that idea. I that's the kind of thing that I enjoy because there was one stream a while ago where we were talking about reflavoring and like could you do a like summoner or druid where the thing but you're a clown and the things that you were summoning are like balloon animals?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Great idea.
I love that wild shaped mecha druid.
We do have a species in the book called near human, which you can take a feat and it changes. You're just kind of a human, but a little bit different. Like this is very Star Trek, right? One of them is a clown, and you come from the planet Circus Maximus, and you can cast vicious mockery, and it's dumb. I see someone on YouTube, Lord. Not sir. Asks sci-fi TTRPGs have problems with starships combat not being very involved / fun for most players and weapons being used to deal with on-ground issues. How does Dark Matter deal with this?
That's a great question.
It's a really good question.
I do want to know.
We dedicated almost 100 pages to this. There is a giant ships chapter in this book where you can customize your own starship and build it out. Everybody on the ship gets a role, and there are 4 roles. Captain, pilot, gunner, and engineer that provide you with special actions that you can use during combat. You're controlling one ship, but we've divided it up, and everybody gets actions that allow you to contribute to the game in really active ways. And one of the big differences between our old printing of this book and the brand new one, besides the fact that it's 150 pages longer, is that we went back to that system with fresh eyes and made it way more interactive and way more fun for every single person in the group, and kind of rebuilt this system from the ground up. So I feel really, really good about our new approach to that. We used a shortcut stolen from I'm blanking on that old RPG system now. We're calling it the Rule of 100 to talk about the differences between ship combat and regular combat. So your weapons deal 100 times the damage, and everything has 100 times the hit points. And the squares, instead of 5 foot, they're 500 foot. Everything's 100 times bigger. So we talk about that as mega scale.
Okay.
So mega hit points, mega damage. So in that way, kind of all equals out. But now you have a framework by which to think about how if you take an axe and you hit the side of the ship, well, it's going to take a while, but you can eventually, like, the logic of the game makes sense. You're eventually able to cut through it. If you take a ship weapon and blast it at a mountainside, you're able to take out part of that mountainside. But we make it so that you can't just fly your ship around and paste anything on the ground. Your weapons can't focus. So we have a whole sidebar that explains you have to treat that as a narrative event, which I actually think is more fun. Like, take it as if you're trying to use your ship in a way it's not really intended for the system, you can still have a really great narrative moment. We provide a bunch of ways that you can kind of parse that out and think about it.
That's cool.
It's riffs. Mega damage from riffs. We 100% stole that because it made perfect sense. It's a really clean way to talk about that distinction, which keeps it within the core mechanics of D&D, and makes it very easy for you to pick up and play. That was a big thing. We're not trying to make a whole miniatures game out of our ship combat. We want you to be able to pick it up and put it down and have a really great time with it without having to dedicate an hour to relearning the rules every time.
Thanks. That's important to me. Is like, yeah, I like, because I like the sci-fi games and stuff, but I've definitely played some where it's like, no, now here's the ship combat game, and it's like, I'm not here to learn another game today. Like, I came to play the game. I love learning new games, clearly, but like, if I come to play a game, I want to play that game. So
yeah, I've dedicated, like I said, I dedicated a lot of space to it, but it's very easy to like get in and out with that, right? Like that's cool. Intended that it's not going to occupy your whole day. That's cool.
I haven't played Rifts. I've heard it's interesting. I like that idea of mega damage, of like, oh, just everything scales up. One person, Crime Bastard, bringing up GURPS has ship HP using the square cube law. I will tell you, you've already lost me. That's math I'm not willing to do. Squared cubes, no. Add 2 zeros to the end of any number. I could do that.
Yeah, it all cancels out, so you don't have to. Yeah, it was really important. Like, you can summarize all the ship rules on one page, and we do that, right? So that's easy. It's really important to me. Like, it's very easy when you start with a game like D&D that has a lot of mechanics going on already. I think it's very easy to just kind of keep going down that rabbit hole. But we spend an enormous amount of time trying to make sure that I'm not hitting you with any more rules than you absolutely need. I think that sort of accessibility and reducing those barriers for entry is healthy for the whole game ecosystem, right? Not just for us making a product that you can easily put on your table, but like, man, D&D and role-playing games in general can be very, very scary for new players. So I think if you want to give them a cool experience, make stuff easy to pick up,
Yeah,
easy to play. It's
absolutely.
important.
Totally agree with that. Even for the experienced ones, like being easier to pick up and play
Oh,
is nice.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I hope that answers. And I think that's the same person asked you earlier. Said clarification on previous question of used to deal with on ground issues. Is it still, in that case, the ship can't attack non mega creatures? So yeah, you have your ship, and then you got this person on the ground. Can you just blast them with your now?
No, you can't. You can only hit, I think, gargantuan and bigger.
Okay,
Is yeah. So I think you could take pot shots at the Terrask, and other than that, you won't be able to hit accurately.
got it. Okay.
So we've got that covered. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I that sounds fun because that's a thing with ship combat that I don't like is when they just become sponges. Like you just we have to account for how much damage an axe does. And so ships have 10,000 HP and now
Yeah.
I'm going to leave because this is taking so long.
Yep. We actually introduced, if you want to have a cool fight with like a hover tank or some sort of helicopter or something like that, we have a vehicles section in the monster section, in the monsters
Ooh.
chapter. We have 100 pages of monsters in there. So we had a whole section dedicated to vehicles. So we have this way, and then we have like a sidebar in there that's like, when do you use ships versus when do you use them as vehicles? Just so that you can kind of like find the thing that is the most narratively appropriate so you can keep things moving and nothing gets sludged down.
Mm-hmm.
I think that solution ended up being really neat.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That makes me even more interested in it because I like that idea.
If you haven't, it's been really lovely coming back to this book because we originally made it in like the original Dark Matter was like 2016, 2017, right? So it's been really lovely coming back to this book and fully reappraising it with fresh eyes and revising the hell out of it. It really has the benefit of being something that has like 10 years of design experience behind it now and like 2 full iterations, right? So it's been really, really rewarding to be able to be like, oh, if you have a question with this, not only have I heard it, I've probably implemented a straight up solution, if not the entire character idea you were thinking about.
Yeah. So what do I guess I maybe not take the entire
Yeah.
I want a short answer if possible, but I realize that might not be it. You said there's like 4 positions, 4 people to occupy on the ship. So
Yeah.
what exactly do they get to do in those positions, or at least a sampling of what they do? And like, how does your expertise in something in that
Good
factor
question.
into it? I am a barbarian, but I have skills in piloting. I assume navigation is probably where you're going to go. And how does that affect you?
So 4 roles. There's a pilot. They move the ship, and the pilot also gets to shoot. They shoot once though, and they have to have like a gun that's like mounted on the front of the ship. The gunner gets to shoot as many times as they want, and they have a lot more types of guns they can use. They can also use the arcane cannon. So if you're a spellcaster, you can fire up the arcane cannon and launch spells into space, and they're magnified up to mega scale. The captain gets to use their action to tell somebody else to do something. And they also get to tell everybody else the order that they act in. So the captain gets to say full power to shields, fire at will, full speed ahead, and they get those actions. And then the engineer gets to use any systems attached to the ship. So there's a whole customization thing with systems. And they can use their action to be like, I'm going to use the tractor beam. I'm going to use the cloaking. I'm going to just try to fix the ship. And you make a roll and you try to get some mega hit points back. Yeah. It should be very active. There's lots you can do, if that makes sense. Hope that
Yeah.
answered the question.
Okay. What does sorry, I was also reading chat, so I might have missed it. So
You're okay.
what does your like as a character, your personal stuff get to?
Oh, so
And
All of your combat skills, if you're shooting a weapon, all of your combat skills get applied. So if you have a feat that makes you better at ranged weapons like archery, that's going to apply to your ship weapon and all of that.
okay.
Certain roles need certain checks. So with the engineer, you're going to be making a lot of technology checks. So if you have a high technology skill, we have 3 new skills: technology, piloting, and data. So you're going to be using technology and piloting in your various roles. So we tried to make, and the arcane cannon for the gunner is going to allow you to use all of your spellcasting skills. So we tried to make as much of that translatable as possible. You're not going to be able to use your +1 longsword in
Right.
ship combat. So yeah, we did as much as we could in terms of translating your actual character kit. If you have extra attack, you can use that in the gunner position.
Okay. I think that actually answers Lord Not Sir, Tav, was mentioning my main worry about Starship stuff is that the majority of them just seem to just boil down to Rolex skill, and it sort of ignores all other aspects of a character like class, feats, such. It sounds like y'all do have some of that baked into it, which is
We tried our best.
I
We tried our best.
think
Yeah,
that's good.
it's always a balancing act between like the verisimilitude and letting you use as many of your skills as possible. But yeah, we did our best. We think it worked out pretty well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We got so distracted. I, I do have some notes that I keep track of. And I realize we got completely off topic while talking about
Mhm.
shopkeeps. So quickly running back to that, uh,
Mhm.
I would say for just a few more bits of shopkeep, interesting shopkeeper is a great way to make a shop more interesting. Having just a fun character. The area it's within can make it more interesting too, whether it's like high society or like, hidden underground. Um, and also something that you mentioned too, and that I fully agree with is specifically interesting stuff. Like, yeah, you've got the basics, sure, but like, look at this. This is here. Like, this is a special item. it's it's on sale. It's the loot box. It's only going to be here. Not the loot box. The FOMO. It's only going to be here now.
Mhm.
It has a timer ticking down on it. Um, there's a silent auction happening, like that kind of stuff. Or I think not last week because I was sick, but the week before last, we were talking about like, oh yeah, you have your potions, like, oh okay, but like here's my shelf of price potions with that. The wizard was a little tipsy when they made it, and now like you gotta, it'll do everything it says on the bottle, but like it might have an additional effect. Maybe. So, at a discount, because it might not be a great effect. It might be a cool effect. So, yeah, things like that can be really cool. Oh, and and also, True Mandalorian said all shops should look like Spencer's in a 90s mall, which I agree. That's how all shops should look. That'd be great. Uh, and on Twitch, Talk mentioning you're saying only shooting large things with the mega cannons and stuff from ships. Says cast in large monster, nuke it from orbit.
It's true.
Could be a good plan. Make problem too big, shoot it with ship. I like it. Squirrel Squad, if that answered your question, do let us know. And then all the other questions we ended up answering in there or trying to, also let us know if they answered. And if not, we'll try again. Jason,
I
go ahead.
see.
Oh,
Jason
Jason.
Latito has asked, are there any plans for bringing dark matter or other Mage Hand stuff to Daggerheart? We like Daggerheart. We like Darrington Press. We have a close relationship with Darrington Press. We're figuring that out. Not in the immediate future. We've got a couple more straight up D&D stuff we want to aim towards for the near future, but it's on our radar and we're thinking about it. If I'm being perfectly transparent, I don't want to make stuff that brings you to a system. I want to go to whatever system you're currently playing. That's where I want to make my stuff. I want to be able to improve whatever game you have already been playing. I think that's the best version of RPG accessibility that I can provide. So I'm waiting to see how big Daggerheart gets relative to everything else. I don't think all of this has settled down into consistent percentages yet. We're at like a very fragmented place with the role playing, like the D&D kind of industry right now, with Daggerheart, Draw Steel, D&D 2014, D&D 2024, and a couple of other ones like Cobalt Press's Black Flag, kind of all splitting one pie. Paizo game,
Yeah, Pathfinder 2.
Pathfinder. So there's so many different directions that the kind of fantasy role-playing game pie is being divided up. And I don't know. I really don't know where it's going to be. So I'm trying not to put all my chips on black and go straight into Daggerheart. We're small publishers. We have to choose our battles. So I'd love to be able to support it, but there's only so much we can do on a given yearly cycle, if that makes sense.
Absolutely does. Yeah. Then there's also another one I saw so much representation for when we were at I've seen it elsewhere, but also at PAX Unplugged is Morkborg. Just so much Morkborg stuff.
Everybody loves that. I should really play some.
I also need to play more Morkborg. I like what I've seen. And also there's a Morkborg video game. The demo just came out for it. It's in development.
Is there really?
Yeah, it's called... Oh, shoot. Hang on. We're going to look this up. Morkborg. I have to download and play the demo. Heresy Supreme is the name of the game.
Okay, very cool. Very, very cool.
I'm just going to throw it in chat because we do video games on this channel too. So look, video games.
Cool. Love that.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Put this in my list.
Yeah, immediately wish list.
Man, they have such a strong style over there. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Very, very jealous. Everything over there looks really, really cool. I know a couple of people in the Morkborg is also very much like a game designer's game. Like, I know a lot of designers who swear by it. Like, very easy to play, very strong community. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to make sure that our company goes from like strengths to strengths. So this gets into like me being CEO, like putting on CEO hat, right?
Yeah.
I'm in a very unique position because I can put on a lot of different hats. But yeah. We've got kind of a roadmap in front of us, and we'll see if we stick to it. I have this advantage of being able to like pivot on like a month by month basis based on what we want to do in the next few months.
Fair. Another question. From PM Triox, which less of a question, more of a statement of just something for them personally, but I have a curious what you think about it, saying the thing I find with sci-fi is that it's a lot more specific in the kind of story style, like a detective, or you're in a war, or you're a criminal, none of which is bad. It makes doing sandboxes a lot more work, which is unfortunately where my group tends to go. Do you have ideas for like how to do sandboxing in that sort?
Interesting.
Yeah, because like I understand that, because like that's part of the appeal of sci-fi is like where you exactly what you were talking about. You could just appear place to place, all this stuff happening, and
you have strong genre conventions when you get into it, right? You're not just doing solve a mystery, you're doing a noir detective film.
Yeah.
Right. You're doing Chinatown all of a sudden, so you have this like very, very strong grounding in a specific genre. Yeah, I don't know. Personally, man, I tend to do very like more guided adventures at my own table. That is because I am writing fully like adventures that I am going to fully publish. So it's, we're going to playtest that fully, right? It's like a very different perspective than most people have, I think, when they run their home games. It's like, oh, I have a mostly finished product. Let's run that. Yeah, I don't tend to run a lot of sandboxes. If I one of my players is running a dark matter sandbox. I think his approach has been to flesh out a handful of different worlds and a handful of different sectors and the types of threats and stuff that you might encounter over there. And flesh those out with the factions that you think you're going to run and the types of adventures you think the players might get along to. I put it like a D100 table of like good adventure hooks in the back, because I think that those sorts of like those can be really helpful if you need to like fill a puzzle piece slot, with a specific type of like, adventure that you can kind of deploy at a moment's notice. So yeah, it's a challenging thing because you're right. It is very specific. It's hard to make very generic sci-fi stuff. You end up landing in like hard in a genre line, no matter what you do.
Yeah, because if you have a galactic threat, you actually need it to be galactic. Like you can't have like, oh, this is the segmented galactic threat. Well, then it's just a a planet threat or a like, and it's like, okay, well, how does that affect something all the way over here? Because I feel like the sci-fi thing to what you're saying, the size of it is part of what makes, I think, would probably make open world harder. Is like you are making that a sandbox in a fantasy world is the size of the world. A sandbox in a sci-fi setting is the size of a galaxy.
But let's be honest, every planet you land on is wherever you land in the immediate region around that. You're very rarely going in circles around a planet because it's going to have one or two points of interest, right? And we're all kind of comfortable with that shortcutting in our heads of like this whole planet's a jungle because I'm not going anywhere other than the jungle.
I
here.
am not okay. Every time I run a sci-fi game, I absolutely fight against that. I'm like, you've landed here, and here's the biome for this part of the planet. Unless it's like a water planet, and that's like, you know, yeah, water.
Water planet.
Yeah.
It's very wet. Yeah. So but I actually, and you're right. I actually don't do that very often in my own games or even in the setting. But the idea that you're just not exploring 7 or 8 locations on a world unless it is like an important, maybe urbanized place where you want those different locations, and then you're kind of running like that, like one big city. So the normal role-playing game stuff that you would do just kind of moves one level out, right? Instead of 5 locations in a city, it's 5 important locations on a planet, right? So it ends up just kind of scaling up one tier, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because you really don't have to do overland travel if you don't want. But we did make sure that like this was actually something I designed very, very early into Dark Matter, was the idea that like traveling from place to place can be hyper dangerous. Like we're doing the Doom thing where you need a high level spell or an addictive magical substance. In this case, a 10-legged insect you have to bite the head off of to get you magically high in order to pilot your ship without problems. That, or you have to go through the kind of mass relay drivers, which are giant space skeletons in space.
Ooh.
Right, that's on the cover. So this is your main way of getting around. You fly into that thing's mouth, and it knocks you out of another one. And there's a bunch of those. So those are the mall stations. So if you don't do that, you blind jump. You have this like very high chance that you're going to be in close orbit around a star, or you smash into a planet or something like that. And you have to do a random roll about what happens. So that's a very fun way for us to like be, well, okay, as a DM, if you want to inspire some adventure here, like, and you do want to treat it like a sandbox, we've created a system there where, you know, the players have to kind of weigh up their options and find ways to travel reasonably safely. But if you don't want to do that and you want to skip straight to the adventure, you can be like, yeah, here's a galactic chart. You'll get from point A to point B. Or we're sticking close to the mall stations. It's not a big deal. So we're trying to give out both sides of it, right? And also just having some innate peril about getting around and that you might randomly land in a travel encounter kind of zone. That is really just useful to have baked into the fabric of what it is, so you don't have to kind of crowbar that in. Yeah.
That's cool. Another thing on that and the sandboxing, I would say probably just rather than trying to sandbox the whole universe, also have your just like, oh, this is a thing that's happening. It's only in this solar system. And if you leave the solar system, like for how long it takes to travel between like, because even the solar system is huge, but let's just use that as a scope. So you got a few planets you could visit, several places within those planets. So you have a nice kind of sandboxy place. But if you leave, like that, whatever is unresolved will no longer be resolvable. You won't be able to return to that plot point or that particular mystery. And so letting that be a little more open worldy.
100%, and that makes the carrot of it, like you want to solve this, more narratively obvious. You really want to make sure that the players have a reason to be there, or they're just going to get up and leave. That's true in modern RPG settings too. Like if you can get in a car and drive away, it's really hard to run a slasher flick, right? So you got to give them a reason to be here and to deal with this problem themselves. Otherwise, they're just going to be gone. And I mean, D&D can do that too. There's a teleport spell. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Right.
So it's narratively difficult.
Yeah. But there's, some things with like teleport spell. Also, I'm like, do you have the somatic, the material components? It's like, oh, you need $100 in jewels from this region or whatever. And like kind of how fast or loose you're playing with that. And also, kind of lock them out of it, and like that's more if you're playing the sci-fi or a modern campaign, like you are expected to drive a car or a spaceship, depending on if it's sci-fi or modern. In fantasy, there's way more of that, like, hey, in my world, teleport doesn't exist. Home rule. Like, where now that expectation, you just don't have it. Like, no, you are stuck to horse and cart, or chocobo and cart. Like, and so, but yeah, if you're just like, oh, this is my modern day setting, but there's no cars, people be like, what? Like,
Yeah. It's an active problem you have to think about how to solve. And in a fantasy world, it just kind of works because you're so disconnected from it, right? Like, yeah, there's something about the types of magic circles that you have in, like, they're completely different magic circles in fantasy, sci-fi, and modern,
mhm,
right? There you have different buy-ins that you're willing to suspend the disbelief for. You can't do a modern setting without cell phones easily,
right.
right? You have, unless it's like a period piece, and then you have to kind of, it's a different buy-in. The
Hmm.
magic circle is the idea of like, we're playing by these rules when I'm in the circle, and outside of that circle, none of these are real, and we know it's a game. There's different buy-ins to different genres, and that's something to think about when you're designing your game.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because that's also on the subject of that, the Brindlewood Bay, which I brought up earlier. Like, that's set in the late '80s, early '90s. So like, cell phones aren't a regular thing. Like, you have a level of, here's the technological cutoff of what you can and
Yeah.
cannot use.
You have Encarta discs, but not Wikipedia. Yeah. You know what's wild is that Dark Matter originally, 2014 Dark Matter, so
Yes.
the original Dark Matter release, genuinely tried to ground it in like, okay, you have space travel, but the information technology is stuck in the 90s. And this is one of the
Mm.
advantages of, and well, and it's like, oh, it's because it's magical technology and data storage is hard, but like it can do things like project holograms because with conjuration magic that's really easy. And it turns out that players don't generally like clock that. They just go, what feels natural? Well, I've got a communicator. Let me just do that. And they end up finding like a different baseline. So we ended up, when we republished the book, I changed a bunch of the things that were trying to nudge you toward thinking about it like a 90s game, and just went like, yeah, your cell phone analog can hold any amount of data. Who cares? Like, everyone's already playing it that way. So one of the things that's really lovely about being able to revisit a role playing game is that I can change it to match your current expectations, because we're so far out from that mindset of like, data, because I always thought like data technology just ruins your ability to play a mystery. Like, if you can
Mm.
just Google the answer and you just know what the monster is, then yeah. So it turns out that's not a dramatic problem, and players will kind of come at it with their own expectations, and you should meet them where they're at. It's a really interesting like small evolution, and now I have like, oh, now there's a plane of cyberspace. You can go there now. That wasn't in the original book, and I got to add that in, which is super fun and gives you your Tron stuff.
Ooh, I do like that. That's cool. Um, Also, a question from Games Loot Jess, who says, I have a question as someone that ran Dark Matter 2014. One of my main pays was learning to convert adventures I wanted into a system when I didn't want to prep something myself. Is there any chance there could be a little handout PDF with advice on converting stuff?
Yeah, give me a second. Actually, it might not be in a handout. It's at the let's see. In the new book, it's on page 40, converting into dark matter. There's it's right there.
Ooh.
So I've got some guidance in there for you. It's not giant. It's a quarter of a page, but it should be enough to get you started.
Okay, cool. Well, easy
I
answer.
like having affirmative answers built into the book. Like, we've had so much time to work on this book. Yeah, we've thought about that. We've addressed it.
I've appreciated how many of your answers included things saying, "Yeah, here in the book."
It's right here. Oh man, I got this book like printed like a few days before the Kickstarter went live. It's so lovely having it around. Oh, I love being able to go to a Kickstarter with like a physical book that I can like show somebody and be like, "It's this. You're buying this."
Hmm. And Crime Bastard bringing up teleport requires a pint of blood from each participant. That way, they don't want to do it too often. That's a really good idea, to be honest. Like, having that be yeah, you can. Like, you're not going to necessarily even take HP damage. I mean, a pint is a lot of blood. But still, you could be like, yes, that's an amount that doing it not often is fine. But that
Just
it is
implement
time
like
consuming.
catastrophic. catastrophic failure chances. You're 1 year older or something like that, right? These things that can like stack up. You
Yes.
gotta have one of the things. I can get all into like we were talking very briefly. Oh no, we weren't. So I total side thing I'm not going to get into, but I made a small horror RPG that will be kickstarting later this year, early next year. It's very,
Horror,
very cool.
horror. Yes, yes.
Long-term goal. Okay, let me tell you the conceit of this game. We're not. I don't want to go too far off of the whole sci-fi thing, but in this game, you get a character sheet. Oh, it's not up there anymore. I once again almost had one nearby. So you can you fill out your character sheet, and when you take damage, you pull out a pair of scissors and you cut off part of your character sheet. So you're cutting off features, you're cutting off your primary skills, that sort of stuff. This ensures that your character doesn't die. You just suffer. And it's a game about dealing with trauma and trying to resolve that and trying to work through it. And those sorts of things define you. Like it defines your strengths and weaknesses, which has been a really fun development cycle. So when we're talking about, if you want somebody to be afraid of something, it's not about, oh, I need you to sacrifice a pint of blood. It's that you're forever going to be missing something. You can use it, but there's long-term consequences to that. So yeah, Blood on the Lens. I'll be kickstarting this later in the year. If you wanted to, you could play this. That's actually up on bloodonTheLens.com right now. So you could go if you're interested in that hook, a game where you have to cut off part of your character sheet. It's a thing. You can go play it.
I know I am. That sounds great. I love horror RPGs.
So yeah, but that it's I don't know. In many ways, it's my ruminations on things I wanted to do with role-playing games to make things have a lot of weight, and it's also very easy to play. Like your whole character fits on one sheet like that, and then the rules fit on one sheet. Anyway.
Can
totally
you
off topic though?
Wait, but this is a great topic because I'm interested in it. So if you have stuff, you cut stuff off your character sheet, but you have stuff in the middle. Do you have to start from the ends and work in, or can you just like cut something out from the dead center?
You can choose anything with a dotted line around it. So that's probably not going to show up well on camera. Some of these have dotted lines and some of them don't. So as you go, you unlock new features and you have to cut stuff off. So at this point, I lost one of my skills. So I have to make do without that. And I can try a luck roll, which is a 1d6, and that's not a very good chance. But every time I take 3 hearts of damage, I have to get out my pair of scissors. It's my red shirt character, Imri Bottleneck. This is, we will, if we've got time when we're doing this later in the year, I'll talk your ear off about this all day. This is a fun little book.
I am absolutely here to talk about horror RPGs. Yes, no, that sounds great.
Oh man, it's so fun.
I think that idea of, you age a year, you do this, like it's something that, immediately not bad, but yes, make them concerned about when it starts adding up. And like even a thing where it's like you have a 1% chance of failure. Like, oh, okay. But every time you do it, it increases another %. Something like that, where it's like, oh, okay, this matters. And it doesn't have to be 1% out of like 100.
It might.
Or something.
It depends on your players and how much buy-in they have. That might not move the needle as much as you think.
Yeah.
What you want is something that because especially if you're that 1% chances and you're so completely turned into dust, that's not something they have to like deal with long term, right? But if that 1% chance is and your bones are going to get really brittle if that goes wrong, that's like maybe scarier because they know that the story for them is not over.
No, I agree.
You just have a long-term, health problem.
Yeah, failure I don't think should be death. Like, that's just, roll a new character. No, failure is you have to live with the consequences.
Yeah, okay.
I'm 100% with you. That's more fun. I think that's more interesting narratively. And I think that's more of an enjoyable challenge as like creating a character and as a piece of art and as a collaborative story.
To swerve back over to sci-fi stuff, Lord Not Sir Tab has asked, are there traveler-style tables for planets and systems? Once again, any good book should have like a bunch of good appendices, right? So that's Appendix A, and that goes on page, So yeah, a lot of easy to roll, good planet ideas. I think to some extent, like if a game is doing its job, I want to give you a bunch of pieces. Like we have an NPC appendix in the back that you can just kind of deploy. Like if I need an NPC, you can just grab it and drop it into your game.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be very loose with your planning, and I'm giving you all the pieces in order to improvise that and put it together. So yeah, 100%. That was a big priority.
Cool. All right, well, I'm glad once again the answer is in the book.
Yeah.
Our question. Got that one. Game Loot Chess. Assume that answers your question, but if not, let us know. Unnuclear Question asked, what is your go-to system for a one-shot? And they go on to say mine is Lady Blackbird from John Harper. Do you have a go-to one-shot system?
God, anything by John Harper's great, man. Like Blades in the Dark. Recently, I've been playing Blood on the Lens as my one-shot thing, both because I wanted the play testing and it's very easy to roll up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you are making a game, it definitely becomes your I'm doing this for one shots because you're running.
But yeah, well, and so most people's game is D&D by numbers or another big RPG like that. If I'm going to make a game, I don't want to make a game that's going to eat all of the time that you have in the world. I want to make a game that is your second game, right? That you go to when you have that extra time. So Blood on the Lens is designed so all the rules fit on one page. It's easy, and its mechanics kind of spur you to having this dynamic narrative. So if you roll doubles on any roll, you roll d6s in this game. If you roll two of the same number, this is a mechanic stolen from Wildsea. Something unexpected happens with your roll. It's still a success or a failure, but you go around the table and everyone suggests something unexpected that happens right now.
Yeah.
And that happens every time anyone rolls doubles. So it has this extremely dynamic thing that happens. The more people roll dice, the more crazy the adventure gets, and it's bounded only by the creativity of the people around you at the table. Which is so. I designed that game to be good for one shots because I know that I'm not trying to capture you for like a 3-year RPG game like I am with Dark Matter or Vault of Spire of Secrets. Right? It's your second game, maybe your third game, and I want you to have a great time with that, and then put it down, and then think fondly of it.
Fair. I think for me, either probably Dread, because that's great.
Dread's amazing.
And like, this is cheap because it's also for longer games answer, but I love Fate. Fate is, especially if you be like, for one shots, be like, what's a character concept you want? Okay, cool. Boop, boop, boop. There you go. You only have to roll these 4 dice. These are things you need to be concerned about. Have fun.
Do you need fancy dice for Fate? I thought that was kind of the thing.
It uses fudge dice, which are 6-sided dice that have a minus
Positives
on
and
2 sides. Yeah, blank on 2 sides, positive on 2 sides. So you can just use D6s, and just 1s and 2s are minus, 3s and 4s are blank, 5s and 6s plus. But yeah, and you're only rolling 4 of them.
Dice.
They're so good. I just bought a set when I was at PAX Unplugged of like
good.
3 set of like purple, red, and black, and they're all gorgeous.
Ooh. I love fancy dice.
Yes. So a nuclear question, if that answers your question. I don't know why it wouldn't, because that was pretty straightforward. But Blue McNeil, just simple question: favorite experience at a tabletop?
Favorite experience at a tabletop. That's broad.
That is, and I feel, I think the like broadest answer and the probably most distant from what they were looking for as an answer is the friends you made along the way. Like, most of my closest friends are people that I have played like RPG campaigns with, and like and people from I literally met them at a game to like I help them move or like have lived with them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's honestly the friends I've made playing RPGs is my favorite tabletop experience.
Yeah, I really enjoy it when players surprise me too. Like when something completely takes a left turn.
Yes.
You don't expect. When they suddenly grab the reins of the adventure and just kind of turn it, and then all of a sudden it's going that way. Love that. I love when you suddenly have no idea where you are or how you got here.
Yeah.
That sort of sensation of like, oh my gosh, we're so far off the beaten track right now, and and somehow the story is even more fun than when we knew what was going to happen.
Hmm.
Right? That's always a good time.
It really is. That's on that one of the earliest things that was like, oh, I this is a lesson I will learn as a DM is I was running a zombie apocalypse game, and someone in their like camp got kidnapped by this other group of people, and so they took them to this like abandoned hotel, and I had this whole multi-story like fortress. I made maps for it. I had it all built out. I was ready. And then we start the session and one of them goes, I got an idea. What if we made a bomb out of this van we have and just hit a support thing and just kind of have the whole thing collapse? And it was like, yeah, you could do that. You
Yeah,
have
let me just put
we
all this away.
we did in fact. You are a crafter, and yes, we did say you have these exact supplies, and I don't want to end your creativity. Yeah, you could just blow up the building. So, and it was
um,
great. It was a great time, and I died a little.
um, I want to tell you a very short story about a time that something similar happened to me. We were running a game, a home game, in 5e that I was calling Director's Cut. And after the first session, they're going through a traditional dungeon. The second session, all of a sudden, I take away their character sheets and I hand them actor sheets, which are like character sheets, but you didn't get to choose anything. And it turns out the
Oh,
first episode, you were characters in a TV show, and every from then on, it's like, is it magical and the lich at the bottom of the dungeon has like controlled our minds, or is this are we kind of losing track of reality as we are in this very stressful shoot?
hmm.
There isn't. So I tried to do these things where I take away their agency as players just to see how they feel and how they squirm. And one of the things that we did that absolutely surprised me was we had a session where I gave them director's notes, where I wrote down notes for how they're supposed to role play today, and I'm trying to drive them in a certain direction.
Oh my
And they ended
gosh.
up taking this, and I was like, this is going to be really intrusive, and it's going to fuck with them, and they're not going to feel like they have their ability to control their characters. And they just ran with it. They just had it was the most dynamic, interesting role playing that they've ever had, because I was writing things down like, tell a secret to this person during this part, and then throwing it that way. And they just dove straight in on it. So we actually I took that and I turned it into a whole system in Blood on the Lens, in the horror game we were talking about earlier, where at the beginning of every session, at the beginning of every adventure, the DM grabs 2 cards for each player, and they give them to the player. These are secret narrative objectives that you have to pull off one of them by the end of the session, or you don't level up. And
Oh, I like that.
so, and they're often pretty bad, like fail at a critical moment or suffer a lasting injury, or sometimes they're really fun, like introduce an event that's happening tonight, or a person that you've never met, like no one else has met from your
Yeah,
backstory.
yeah, yeah.
Share a nugget of wisdom, and there's a ton of them, and they're super dynamic. And then everyone is kind of secretly doing their own stuff, so you don't know. So everybody has much more agency at the table, just like they did in that session where I thought I was punishing them by taking their agency away, because suddenly they had the agency of playing kind of in the DM seat of deciding what the narrative was going to be instead of reacting to the narrative.
Yeah.
And that was that. So in terms of like single experiences where I really enjoy, like the light bulb going off of like, oh, I was completely wrong, and I'm going to use this to make a whole different game that like uses that as a rocket ship to drive us into new narrative places. Right. That was a magical lightning bolt.
That's freaking cool. I like that. That's also interesting because you do have that like, do I want to pull off one of these, or is it like it's not worth it? Like 1 XP or 1 level up? Like, no, you know what? I can't.
But it matters. It's like because people will do it just because it's like they find the narrative potential there, right? One of the
Mm-hmm.
characters was playing a living plant person in one of our games and lost an arm to a moss blight that like destroyed their whole, and they had to like deal with this lasting injury. And the next adventure, they made a deal with a witch. It was phenomenal. Like, and it's like, yeah, that's extremely narratively bad, but like a good story, especially a good horror story, it's not all good things all the time. It's not optimal,
Yeah.
right? But that's still narratively juicy, and I think the players suddenly like something clicked deep in their subconsciouses where they went like, "Oh, I'm not playing this like a game where I'm trying to optimize my hit points and damage. I'm
Right.
playing this as a game where we have a really great story. And that was, that's and something about turning that into a mechanic where you have to choose a card bridged that gap in a way that was extremely unexpected.
That's awesome. Also says Lord Not Sir Tab saying completely unrelated, but I've been wondering why I recognize Mage Hand Press and asked my GM. Turns out he used Vlad's Spire few years ago. Yeah, Volspire a few years ago, and I made an Overlord Necromancer. That was great. So there you go.
I'm glad you enjoyed the Necromancer. It's one of my favorites.
I do believe that's all the questions that we had, and it's like about 6 o'clock, so I guess that's a good time for us to wrap up.
Yeah, sure.
This was so much fun, and also we have several other topics that now we have to talk about.
Seriously. Next time we're on, I really want to tell you guys about a D&D book that is a monster manual of extinct animals that we made. It is going to be a really sad stream in which I tell you some very sad, real stories about animals, and then show you how to use them in your D&D games. I would love to do, and obviously, I keep talking about this because it's I don't know. I made a whole role-playing game and I haven't Kickstarted it yet. It's just sitting on my desk. Something else for us to talk about next time we're on.
Big Billy Borbus. Sorry. Big Billy Borbus also had a question, was mentioning making a species for a D&D of like a bear person, and I believe suggested on like abilities and such for that. When I'm making like a species, because I did the Fantasy Folk book of like, here's a bunch of things, and like, okay, lizard people. A thing I like doing is just research the thing. So like Adventures and I play Grindelwald, who's a Dicaria, which is a mushroom person. How did I come up with that? I read a lot about mushrooms, and I learned about like how the mycelial network works and like different things mushrooms do. And it's like, okay, how can I play that into a species that has evolved sapience? And like, so lizard folk, doing a lot about lizards, where I learned about, I forget what it's called. I wrote it in the book, but I don't remember the word.
Yeah.
Why lizards can run fast, but not for a long time. Where like how they run contracts their body, so they can't just like keep that up for long periods of time.
Interesting.
And that's super. Yeah, it's fascinating. So it's like,
and it has obvious mechanical consequences.
Yeah, like, okay, like, so like an endurance thing. Like, okay, so I can't do these types of things for long. Okay, I could bake that into the biology of this. So yeah, like looking into, if you very much want to focus on bears, like learn more about bears and be like, okay.
I always try to find one selling point feature for every species that is something no other species can do, and then the rest of them can kind of be, find one thing that like really makes you go like, nothing in the game can do this, and it's super fun to play around with. So like, our Vect are the mechanical people in dark matter. You can reconfigure when you finish a long rest, so that means you can take 2 of your ability scores and swap them for the day.
Ooh, yeah, that is cool. I do like that.
The amoeboids are ooze people, so when you take damage as a reaction, if it's bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, you can roll a d4 and then regenerate some of that, and that die scales as you gain levels. So as long as you can find one key, and if you can do more than one totally unique thing, that's great too, but you gotta have a selling point. Selling points are really important for the DM and the players to buy in and get really excited about the thing that you made for the table.
Totally
agree. At least from veteran design, like putting it in a book perspective, at least.
I totally agree. Having that key selling point is a very easy way to then learn the rest of it. Because if you just see, all right, I've got 18 species to read through, I don't got that much time. You're just looking for the cliff notes, and like that selling feature is nice. Just be like, even though that's not the whole thing, it helps shape what that is, especially if it is well suited to other aspects of it, where it's not like
100%.
You can fly this particular way, isn't that cool? And every other effect has nothing to do with that. Like, all right, fine, it's technically unique, but yeah, try to marry all those things together is cool. And then Hoya Byman said, what book is that? Sorry, I just joined, I think earlier. I believe that's when you were talking about Blood on the Lens.
Blood on the Lens. Yeah, that book you can't physically buy a hardcover yet. But you can find it at bloodonTheLens.com. It's a cool RPG that'll probably be kickstarting later this year. It's really easy to learn. Mostly, we've been talking about Dark Matter today, which is at sci-fi5e.com, or you can just Google Dark Matter Kickstarter and find the Kickstarter right now. It launched like 2 days ago, and it's doing pretty well. So I'd love it if you're interested, you could maybe take a look and back us. No pressure, of course.
There you go. Through a link in chat
Yeah,
for
thanks.
everybody. And also with a typo. So there you go. That R doesn't have to be capitalized, but that's how life goes sometimes.
I wouldn't have noticed.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming in and hanging out with us. I do this every week. We're first time on YouTube. YouTube, hi. I'll be here next week, same time, 4:30 Eastern is when we start. Mike, thank you so much. I know you just plugged Dark Matter and Blood on Lens. Anything else you want to plug, or plug those again before we leave?
You know what? My buddy Benjamin Huffman just released his pugilist class on D&D Beyond. It's really cool. If you like D&D classes, go check out the pugilist. I got to edit that for him to make sure it was in good shape. So if there's any complaints, just come yell at me because I didn't catch something. But that one's really cool. So go support my buddy as well.
That sounds. What is the pugilist class?
It's kind of a old-timey boxer class. You are think monk, but not dexterous. Think I'm gonna break your nose with just big strength score. It's neat. So if you like you know, base classes and old-timey boxers, you've got a good thing to play with.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
We're gonna head out. See y'all next week. Bye.
Goodbye.